last slide. No, not last slide. Last PowerPoint presentation, last video for chapter 20. And we're going to start off by talking about MALT, which is mucosa-associated lymphoid tissue. These are lymphoid tissues and mucous membranes found throughout the body. And what they do is protect us from pathogens that are trying to enter the body. And they're found in the mucosa of the respiratory tract, urinary organs, the digestive tract. The largest collections of MALT are going to be found in the tonsils, the Peyer's patches, and the appendix. The tonsils are the smallest lymphoid organs, and they form this ring of lymphatic tissue around the pharynx. They appear as swellings of mucosa. And what they do is they gather and remove pathogens from the food or air. They contain follicles with germinal centers and scattered lymphocytes, not fully encapsulated. But what they have these things called tonsillar crypts. And it's invaginations in the epithelium. And what happens is bacteria or particulate matter enters these tonsillar crypts and it becomes trapped and destroyed. It is somewhat risky to lure bacteria into tissues, but what it does is it allows our immune cells to become activated and to build memory cells against these potential pathogens. So this would be an example of a tonsil, and we have these germinal centers, and then the invagination. Sorry about that. The invagination is a tonsillar crypt. We have Peyer's patches. These are clusters of lymphoid follicles in the wall of the distal portion of the small intestine. Structurally similar to tonsils, and what it does is they destroy bacteria, preventing them from breaching the intestinal wall, and they generate memory lymphocytes. So these, again, small intestine, and these would be the follicles of a Peyer's patch. The appendix is an offshoot off the first part of the large intestine, contains a large number of lymphoid follicles, and it has the same functions as Peyer's patches. Destroy bacteria, prevent them from breaching the intestinal wall, and to generate memory lymphocytes. So tonsils are up here. Peyer's patches are down in here in the small intestine. And the appendix is this offshoot off the large intestine. And then we have the thymus. The thymus is a bilobed lymphoid organ. It's found in the inferior neck. It extends to the mediastinum, partially overlies the heart. So this is going to function as a lymphoid organ where T cells mature. It is most active and largest during childhood, and it will stop growing during adolescence, and eventually it'll atrophy, which means kind of wasting away. Still produces immunocompetent cells, just more slowly. The thymus is broken into lobules that contain an outer cortex and an inner medulla. The cortex contains rapidly dividing lymphocytes and scattered macrophages. The medulla contains fewer lymphocytes and thymic corpuscles. Now, thymic corpuscles are important because this is where regulatory T cells develop. And what regulatory T cells do is they help to prevent something called autoimmunity. And autoimmunity is where your body attacks itself because it recognizes itself as foreign for some reason. The thymus is different from other lymphoid organs in 3 important ways. 1, it has no follicles because it doesn't have any B cells. 2, it does not directly fight antigens. It functions strictly in T lymphocyte maturation. It actually contains this thing called the blood-thymus barrier, which keeps immature T lymphocytes away from antigens to make sure they don't become prematurely activated. And then the stroma, this is a really big difference. The stroma is made up of epithelial cells, not reticular fibers. And what this does is this provides an environment in which T lymphocytes become immunocompetent. So outer capsule, cortex, medulla, thymic corpuscles, where the T regulatory cells are developing. This is just a table that's showing the different lymphoid organs and tissues, their major functions, if they have a capsule, cortex, lymphoid follicles, what the stroma, excuse me, what the stroma is made of, and then any special features. And here's your question. Final question for chapter 20. And this is all I have for you today. Well, yes.